What's going on, everyone? We are less than 2 weeks away from training camp, so I want to start going through all the players, and this time we're going to talk about Gabe Vincent. He was one of the surprise signings, right? This was a guy that many people thought he would re-sign with Miami or go get a payday elsewhere because he was really good for them and was the starting point guard for Miami in the NBA Finals and really picked it up in the playoffs. During the regular season, he had his struggles this past year. So this past year, 68 games played, he averaged 26 minutes per game. He only shot 40% from the field and only shot 33.4% from three-point range. Provided 9 points, 2.5 assists, and 2 rebounds, right? Excellent guard defender, right? Averaged a steal per game. And he was also little turnover happy as far as assist to turnover ratio goes. So again, he averaged 2.5 assists and 1.4 turnovers, which is not good, right? But in the playoffs, really picked that up. 22 games in the playoffs, 30.5 minutes. So his minutes went up. His shot attempts went up. He still shot 40% from the field goal range, but he also shot more three-pointers in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. And in the playoffs, he was just a hair under 38% from three for 12.7 points. He also upped his assist total to 3.5 assists per game. His turnover rate was the same, so 1.4, and his rebounds actually dipped a little bit, but again, he was kind of more off the ball, more off on the perimeter. 6'3", 195 pounds, can guard multiple positions, which is really good. But the reason I love this signing for the Lakers is because this is a team that has D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, LeBron James. 3 guys that are all good playmakers that are all probably going to be on the ball heavily. And a guy like Gabe Vincent has always been the prototypical mold alongside of LeBron James. You know, think of like George Hill, Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers, right? Avery Bradley. Those 3-and-D style point guards that, yes, they're not great playmakers, right? They're not the guy that's going to be out there Rajon Rondo in it, right? But they're guys that can hit big shots, play defense, play both sides of the ball, make an occasional play, keep the ball moving if need be, but allow LeBron to be LeBron, allow Austin Reeves to be Austin Reeves. All of these things, I think, are going to be very huge for Gabe Vincent. Now, I don't think he's going to be a, 30-minute-a-game guy. I don't think he's going to be a 15-point-a-game guy. I think he'll have his nights where he's just on fire and stuff, but I do think he'll be probably a 15 to maybe 20-minute-a-game guy, depending on, because you can shift like D'Lo to the 2, right? You could have Reeves is going to do that a lot. Even Gabe Vincent, if you wanted to, you could have him slot in the point guard position, quote unquote, but he's not really the point guard, right? Maybe Reeves is handling the ball or LeBron or D'Lo, and you just have Gabe Vincent in there in like that Dennis Schroeder role where he's just getting after it on the defensive end. So he is and was essentially our Dennis Schroeder replacement. He's still very young, signed him to a 3-year deal. Got him for, in my opinion, a great price at $11 million a year, right? And he's 27, so by the time his contract's up, we could still keep him around if he's good for us. He'd only be 30. This is a guy with a chip on his shoulder that's going to play hard, play 100%. He's going to do the dirty work, right? He's gonna make the right plays. He's going to hustle. Whatever you need from him, you can call his number and he's going to provide it for you. And you need those guys to win NBA championships. And that's what Gabe Vincent is. He's the guy that can go deliver the hard foul, that can, get in the grill, that can be a, court-to-court defender. A lot like how Dennis Schroeder was for the Lakers. Now, Dennis Schroeder, he had more upside. He is the better upside player. Because when Dennis Schroeder was on and feeling it, that dude was 20 and 5, right? Like that dude was absolute money. Gabe Vincent is more consistent though, right? Like Gabe Vincent's also a little taller, a little bigger, so he can kind of get into he's not as like quick and like persistent, I guess, as Dennis Schroeder is. But he's also Like, Schroeder wasn't a great playmaker, neither is Gabe Vincent, right? All of their flaws are very similar. But again, as far as consistency goes, Gabe Vincent's the more consistent player, right? Because the problem with Schroeder was, again, go give you a 25-5, and you're like, dude, this guy is killing it, right? Like, what was it, the Minnesota game or whatever? He was huge for us, huge, right? But then the next game, he's like 2 points and like 111 from the field with like 5 turnovers and 2 assists. And it's just like, who is this guy? Get this guy out of the game. Like, what are we doing here? Right? Like, it was the lack of consistency from Dennis Schroeder. Gabe Vincent is just going to be, in my opinion, that consistent stat line, right? He'll give you probably 6 to 9 points a game, give you like 2 to 3 assists, 2 to 3 rebounds. He'll probably shoot 38, 39% from 3 because he's going to be playing alongside a LeBron James, Anthony Davis. He's going to be playing alongside a Austin Reeves. Like, he has more playmakers than he's ever had in his career, right? Like, Miami didn't have great playmakers, right? Like, he played off the ball a lot, so he's going to be good in that role, right? His ability to play alongside LeBron James. He's going to be that defensive guy. And the beauty is you can slot him alongside an Austin Reeves. You can slot him alongside a D'Angelo Russell. Or even just alongside like LeBron. You could even do a lineup with like Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, right? Or Jackson Hayes or Christian Wood or whomever, right? And allow him to kind of just be that 3-and-D style guard. Guard multiple positions. You can throw him on Steph. You can throw him on Clay. You can throw him on, Kyrie. You can throw him on whomever, right? And he's going to get after it. He's going to accept the challenge. He's going to really work hard. You need those guys. I mean, there's a real argument for him to start. For me personally, I think it depends on who's that other starter, right? So, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves are a lock to start, right? Those are your 3 main starters. To me, it's who's the 4th? Is it Jared Vanderbilt, right? Because if it's Jared Vanderbilt, I think you go with D'Angelo Russell. If it's, say, Rui Hachimura, maybe I still think you could go with D'Angelo. We would have to see. If it's Jared Vanderbilt, definitely I think you go with D'Lo. Just because you have Jared Vanderbilt, who's going to guard the best player on the other team anyway. Rui, he's slimmed down a lot. Can he defend out on the perimeter better? If he can, then cool. You can go with D'Lo. But as far as if you go with like Christian Wood and you play AD at the 4, I think you go with Gabe Vincent. I think there's a real argument, even if you do go with Rui Hachimura, you go with Gabe Vincent. I think that there's a real argument that outside of them starting Jared Vanderbilt at the 3, you go with Gabe Vincent. Because that way you have your point of attack defensive player and Gabe Vincent. You have Austin Reeves and LeBron James as your 2 ball handlers, like your 2 main ball handlers, right? Gabe Vincent can play off the ball, be a 3-and-D guy. And then you have more than enough scoring, right? But if you have Jared Vanderbilt and him being a bit of a liability on the offensive side, because Jared Vanderbilt is, if we're going off of last season, our worst offensive player. Now, that doesn't mean he can't be better this year. That doesn't mean, he's been working like a madman. Maybe he's great this year. I hope so. I'm rooting for the guy. But let's assume that he's just slightly better than he was last year. Then he still would be our worst offensive player. So you need that other guy that can just go get buckets. And so I think you keep D'Lo in the game. But I think there is a real argument to be made that anybody outside of Jared Vanderbilt in the starting lineup, you start Gabe Vincent. Even if you go with Jackson Hayes at the 5, I still think there's an argument for Gabe Vincent because Jackson Hayes, you still don't have that point of attack defensive guy, right? And I think that you need that. It's what Jared Vanderbilt is, right? And Reeves is a good, not great defender. So if you have Vincent and Reeves in the front or in the backcourt, then you have your you have a very good and good guard that can both guard point guards or shooting guards, depending on who they are. And then you have a Rui Hachimura, Jackson Hayes, whomever, right? There you go. Now you have your two bigs. You have your playmaker. Get my point? Like, the other thing is, too, I think there's a real argument to close with Gabe Vincent. Like, I wouldn't hate a closing unit of, like, Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, Taurean Prince, LeBron, and AD. So basically you have Taurean Prince, who's a legit prototypical 3-and-D guy, can basically guard 1 through 4 and provide you 38, 39% three-point shooting. You have Gabe Vincent, who can basically guard either guard position and shoot 38 to 39% from 3. You have Austin Reeves again, who's a good, serviceable defender. You have Anthony Davis, who's best in the league. And then LeBron James can get after it for 3 minutes a game at the end of the game. Right? I would personally, like, if Jared Vanderbilt can be around 36% this year, 35%, even though that would be worse than Taurean Prince, Jared Vanderbilt is like elite. I mean, legitimately one of, if not the best perimeter defender in the entire league. I think you go with Jared Vanderbilt. But again, let's assume he's slightly better, because he was like 30% from, say he's like 33% from 3. Then I'd probably go with Taurean Prince and just go a good defensive scheme. But even if you go with Jared Vanderbilt in the closing lineup, I would still might go with Gabe Vincent over D'Lo. Unless D'Lo is just on fire, right? Like if D'Lo's got 20 points and he's like 6 of 8 from 3 or something like that, then nah, you got to go with D'Lo just because he's giving you such great offensive output. But I think Gabe Vincent is going to be one of those guys. His impact doesn't show up on the box score. I think more games than not, you're going to look at his stat line and you're going to be like, if you didn't watch the game, you look at his stat line and you're like, oh, he didn't really do much. 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Like, why did he play 20 minutes? And it's because you didn't watch the game, and it's because this dude also just impacted the game on the defensive side and was out hustling the opposing team for loose balls and, you know, causing shot clock violations and turnovers and, you know, grinding and fighting over screen, like doing all the dirty work, right? He's one of the guys that I really believe that you're going to look at him as like, okay, he was one of the real reasons we won a championship this year. Like, right? Like, I think that is what he's going to be, because he was that for Miami. A dude that's not afraid of the moment, that you can trust in big spots, that'll hit big shots. I mean, he was doing it for Miami. I mean, hitting huge shots. Huge. Like star level shots. Like the shots that the star on the other team should be taking. He was the guy taking those shots and knocking them down like it was nothing. And then walking to the bench like, yep, that's me. He's that dog. Undrafted, hungry, wants to prove it. He's going to get after it. He takes no plays off, no moments off, no games off, nothing. That's the kind of guy we need. He's the guy that's going to have the impact that you just sit there and you go, damn. Like, you know, like that he's that guy. That's who I think Gabe Vincent's going to be. But he's one of the guys I'm really excited for. He's one of the guys that I really think has a major impact on this team, whether he plays 10 minutes a game or he plays 25 minutes a game. I really do. Because he's the perfect complementary guard given the pieces that are on this Lakers roster. Right? Because even Dennis Schroeder, you don't need Dennis Schroeder with this roster. Right? Because Dennis Schroeder isn't a good three-point shooter. He's great at getting after it defensively, and he's a good kind of drive and kick guard. We have plenty of those guys. We have plenty of guys that can get to the basket, right? Even Gabe Vincent can get to the basket. We need guys that can provide the defense that Schroeder can give you. Doesn't need the ball, doesn't need shots to be effective, and can knock down the three ball at an efficient clip. Now, if he's like 30% from three, then that's going to be a problem. But I don't think so. I personally don't believe he will be, just because he's like, last year was his like worst year shooting the three ball since like his rookie year or whatever, right? Like, because like you look at the year before, he was 37% from three. So if he can kind of get back to that, which I do believe he will, because he's going to have, again, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, like all these guys that are going to be just drawing so much attention. He's going to get more open look shots than he's ever gotten. And he was like 42, 43%, something like that, on like spot ups and catch shoots, like, which is pretty much all he's going to get with the Lakers. So, and we saw him kind of get back to his average in the playoffs. So I expect him to kind of get back to that during the regular season. But if he is, for whatever reason, 33% from three, then that could end up being a problem. And then I don't think he plays much at all. But time will tell. We'll see. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel about Gabe Vincent? Do you like Gabe Vincent? Do you think he's going to be a huge impact guy this year? Do you think he's just going to kind of be another guy? How do you feel? What your thoughts are? Let me know down in the comments.